Hey everybody, it's comedian Brian Scott McFadden, and today, hecklers. Yes, one of every comedian's least favorite things to deal with. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to deal with any of this, but unfortunately, we don't live in that world, do we? Yes, some of the best clubs have people who physically take hecklers and take them out behind the club and do something to them. I don't know what, but whatever it is, I support it. But that's not always the case, and so it gets left to you to deal with this as best you can. And not every heckler situation can be dealt with optimally, okay? Just to let you know. To quote Good Will Hunting, sometimes these things go south, you got a bad situation, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Anyway, yes, that shouldn't be happening to anybody. Heckling should be outlawed, but it isn't. And until it is, until we live in that perfect world, well, what can you do? Well, you can do a few things. For the more egregious versions of hecklers, shame and humiliation often works. Sometimes a softer approach can be better. You don't have to snap completely and shut someone down and humiliate them horribly. You can be a therapist to them. You can go, what's your story? What, is there someone hurt you? Why are you? And you can talk to somebody. If somebody's chiming in or heckling, or one thing you can do with attention seekers is the freeze out. You just don't even address them. You address all, and you direct your eye gaze to everyone else in the room but them. You engage very intently everyone else who's listening except them. You ignore their existence completely. And a lot of comedians will go, oh, there's a guy in the front row, he's really bad. Sometimes I'll just ignore that person completely and just I'll act like that person isn't even there. And it's a weird thing happens. They'll just go, and then they'll just start to disappear because it's not working, because they're not getting any attention anymore. So they start to shrink back into the ether. And you got to gauge that and feel that out, because oftentimes you can wade in and make things worse by calling attention to somebody and giving them that nugget of narcissistic nourishment. Oftentimes they just grow like a flower and just go, oh no, he's talking to me, and then we're off to the races. But there's different kinds of hecklers. There's the overeager helpers, the enthusiastic ones, where they're like, oh my God, that happened to me. Or, oh my God, that's the same thing. Now, that's not really a heckle. And a lot of comedians get mad when someone says something, but it's not totally, doesn't cross into heckler land. They're just a little enthusiastic, they're overeager, and usually it's kind of friendly, and you say, hey, look, I got this, we're not a comedy team, or whatever, and they usually go, oh, sorry, that story spoke to me. Then there's wannabe comics. That's another subset of hecklers. Wannabe comedians, usually guys, by the way, who want to show off in front of their friends, kind of alpha dog show their friends how witty they are. And they're usually easy to deal with, actually, because they tend to underestimate how difficult comedy is, and they tend to overestimate their own potential skill set at it. So a couple of quick quips, and usually these guys are like, oh, I thought it was going to be much funnier than this guy. Oh, I guess not. Then there's random attention seekers, okay? These are people that are just a bit narcissistic, or maybe very narcissistic, and everything's about them. Then there's the issue-specific hecklers. These are the people who are very quiet, engaged in the show, but then you hit some third rail in their own life or something like that, whether it be something personal in their life, something political, something psychological, and then they get very upset. And they have to register their complaint, and sometimes you can just go, duly noted, but this is a comedy club, and I appreciate it, but I'm going somewhere with this, or whatever. Also, there's the overly chatty Cathys, or chatty Charlies, to be more gender inclusive. Yeah, these are just people who aren't even heckling, they're just talking loud at the table. Yes, they're just having a conversation like they're, sitting in a bar, and there's no, comedy show going on, and no one's trying to listen to the comedian. They're just acting like it's their own little world. That's important for you to call that out, because they can be disruptive, and they're making it hard for other people to hear the jokes. Then they start talking, and then people can't hear, so people start turning around going, shut up, and then a war can break out, which I've seen many times, or other people stop listening to your jokes because they're waiting for you to shut them up, and they can't understand why no one's shutting them up, and you just a bad vibe through the room. So it's important to make them know other people exist. Sometimes they don't know they're that loud, and you go, you got inside voices, pretend it's a library. And sometimes they will. They'll be quiet, and that's great. Then you have bachelorette parties. God help you, and God help us all. Yeah, one of the most difficult. It combines everything the comedians dislike. It's raucousness, narcissism, entitlement, and alcohol. The 5 horses of the apocalypse, or I don't know how many horses are in the apocalypse. You gotta hope that the management puts them strategically in a place where they're not as disruptive of the show, which usually doesn't happen. I don't know why that is. Usually it's like right up front. Why? By the way, anyway, a tip for anybody who decides to open a comedy club. Anybody that wants to sit up front and is eager to sit up front, never sit them up front. Put them way in the back. Anybody that comes in, yeah, can you put us right up front? Yeah. Oh, can you put us right in the front? No. That is a red flag waving. All you have to say is, oh, those seats are reserved. The only people eager to sit up front at a comedy show are the people who are eager to ruin the comedy show. There's exceptions, but oftentimes that's the case. What else? Oh, everyone's favorite, drunks. Yes, drunks. Drunks are the absolute, if there's a mongoose and a cobra, the drunk is the enemy of comedy altogether. Because drunks are, unfortunately, they do not have a shame. There's really not much you can do with a drunk. Other than them passing away of liver failure right there at the table, your options are somewhat limited because you're not dealing with a coherent, functioning person who responds to shame, humiliation, or logical appeals to human decency. You can possibly ignore them. You can appeal to their friends to tell them to be quiet. Other than that, it's kind of a crapshoot. And so that's it for me. I think that's it for right now. If you want to learn more, you can come to my seminar. That's right, at the Westside Comedy Club this Sunday, 2 to 5. And you can register, I believe, at westsidecomedyclub.com. Just Google that, and maybe I'll see you there. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.